Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Rhinestone Island, and like I said last episode, we're going to be reworking this lagoon area over here. Now, I saw all the comments. I know that a lot of you guys do like the way this lagoon looks, so I am keeping a portion of it. I'm going to call it more like a cove now than a lagoon. So you'll see it's going to kind of wrap on the inside of this mountain over here, but really, more importantly than just reworking this little area next to the airport over here, I really just wanted to make the entire area surrounding the airport look a little bit more natural, a little bit more like it's a part of the rest of the island, because right now I feel like this whole island, as it moves towards the airport, has a sort of like certain environment look to it, and then once it gets to the airport, all that's kind of broken, and that's, you know, fine, because the airport is supposed to be entirely like a man-made structure that's been, you know, probably we reshaped a lot of the mountain to make that work, but I really want to have, just after the airport, a little bit more of like a kind of island break-off kind of area, and just make the whole tip of the island feel like it's got more of like a cohesive shape to it. So you're going to see a lot of reworking in this area this episode. In fact, it's probably the main thing we're going to be doing in this episode is just reworking the tip of this island and trying to get it to work better, because right now, like I said, I wasn't super happy with the end result of the shape of the island after building the airport. I love the way the airport looks, but I wanted to make the rest of the island feel like it was, you know, all one big end strip of the island and not this like weird man-made sort of thing at the end. So anyway, I know it's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see at the end what it looks like. But aside from that, something I do want to talk about this episode, and it's something that you probably have already heard about if you follow me on Twitter, but I've been talking with a few friends of mine, mostly Fresh Popcorn and Strict Toaster, but also lots of others over Twitter and over Reddit and everything like that, and it seems like the game, and I say the game, and I kind of mean Steam, but Steam and City Skylines are having some issues when it comes to trying to, I guess, like fetch workshop items whenever the game loads, something like that. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what's happening here, but what was happening for me is every time I tried to load the game, just by launching City Skylines, the second I got to the menu, my game would crash, and the only way I could get the game to launch properly was to disable every single mod and asset that I had, and then launch the game. And then it would launch, but obviously with no assets or mods, so I can't launch any of my save games, which is a problem. So I experimented further. I tried just enabling like a few mods at a time, and it seemed like no matter which mods I enabled, if I enabled any mods or assets at all, it would cause my game to crash again upon loading the game. So obviously that's a problem. And then I was talking to, well, in particular, Fresh Popcorn, who apparently has had this issue for a lot longer than I have. And what he does, and what I recommend you try doing if you have any problem like this, you know, if you're watching this right now and you can't load your game without it crashing, and you need to have the mods for obviously loading your save game and all that stuff, what I'd recommend trying, and this is what he recommended to me, is try launching Steam in online mode, because if you don't know this, well, I'm sure you do at this point, but whenever you install custom content from the workshop, it not only puts it in your game using, you know, the workshop and over the internet, but Steam also downloads and caches all of those objects. But it seems like if Steam is launched in offline mode, it can't retrieve those cached assets. So you need to launch the game, or launch Steam in online mode first. And then once you launch Steam in online mode, then you can go ahead and cut your internet and then try launching the game. And it seems like if you launch the game while your computer is not connected to the internet, then whenever it gets to the point in the menu where it tries to, like, I don't know, interact with the workshop in some way, it just fails and it stops doing it. And by doing this, I was able to launch the game and have all my mods and assets there, and then, you know, get into my save game. So now what I have to do every time I want to play the game is I just need to disable the internet, launch the game, and then re-enable the internet once I'm loading my save game, and everything's fine and there's no problem. So kind of a weird workaround. I hope that helps for some of you guys. In fact, let me know down below in the comments if you have any similar issues and if you're using mods, and more importantly, if you're using mods right now and you're able to just totally launch the game no problem. Let me know down below if that's going on for you, because I'm really curious to know if this is like a Steam and Steam Workshop issue, or if it's a particular mod that just me and Strict Toaster and Fresh Popcorn and like everybody else that's messaged me on Twitter so far all happen to have. I'm not really sure what the issue is, but from what I can understand, it seems like it's a Steam Workshop issue. So let me know down below if you have somehow gotten the game to launch with mods in online mode. That would be really interesting for me. And then, of course, also let me know if you get it fixed using this method, because again, it seems like this is helping for a lot of people. So there you go. That's my little tip for you guys if you're having any problems, because I spent a while trying to fix that myself, but I'm finally in the game again, and I guess that's nice. So anyway, let's get back to the content you're watching right now. So, like I said, we're reworking a lot of this island. We're reworking a lot of the areas sort of beyond the airport. So you're seeing here, we're actually outside of the map space, or that little dotted line there. So I only have the all 25 tiles mod. I don't have the 81 tile mod, and I think in the future I'll probably use the 81 tile mod, but I didn't really feel like it would be necessary to download the 81 tile mod just so that I could get like the little outer rings of this island. So I actually used the prop and tree anarchy tool, and it lets me place these trees and pretty much any prop that's not like an actual park, or I think other things like certain rocks and things won't place out here as well, but all the props and trees place out here just fine. So I was able to make these little islands just off of the coast of our airport over here. And I think that this island in particular, and these two islands that are sort of just outside of the coast of the airport, are really the ones that make this whole tip of the island sort of tie together and look like one big chain of islands, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But either way, you can see we're going in and we're doing these little islands that are sort of off the coast of the bigger islands, just putting in some simple palm trees, and I just love these palm trees. They look so good. I'll use some more later. We're going to go back to this mountain here, but those are great, and they look really great on these little smaller islands that are off the coast as well. But here we're getting into the main part of this build. So like I said at the beginning, I wanted to redo this lagoon. I wanted to make it a little bit more of like a cove. It's going to have like a mountain, and the combination of like this mountain and the other different little island tips really makes this whole area look much better. So that was the reasoning behind this. But for this particular mountain, you can see we're going to start with some foliage and stuff, and then I'm going to move into the rocks. Now, I think I went a little overkill with the rocks. You're going to see in a minute how many I put down. And something that I'm sort of getting used to still is using these vanilla rocks that come with the game. I didn't use them much until I found out about them when working in my Grizzly Valley project, and I didn't realize how good they looked, so I stopped using those custom rocks as much. The only thing is the custom rocks blend much better with the vanilla mountain texture for tropical, I think. So when you're using these vanilla rocks that I'm about to start putting down here, I just think that you can kind of combine them to an extent, but I think that you'll see here, I put so many at the top that it was kind of hard to merge them and blend them back into the mountain texture using like foliage and sort of hiding those seams and things, and it just started to look kind of weird and not natural. So I think for future reference, it's much better to go a bit lighter with these rocks, and maybe only make them really dense if you're looking at like a really tall peak that needs to look different than the rest of the peaks. So I think I'm just gonna skip. Yeah, I just totally skip the part where I remove all those rocks and move on to this part here. But so the purpose of this little cove is, like I said, I wanted to change this area, and what it originally was it was just like a beach lagoon kind of thing, and it's still the same sort of idea where it's only accessible through that little tunnel that goes to the university over there. So as a result, it's kind of like a smaller beach, and on top of that, it's like this weird little cove that's sort of covered up by the airport and the other side of the university and those neighborhoods. So I would kind of imagine that this beach is a lot less popular and a lot less commercialized than the other beaches around here, like this one here. So as a result, I'm sort of aiming for less of like a big beach and more of like a camping barbecue kind of site for maybe like college students and people that want to hike out to this sort of secluded little cove over here. So what you just saw right there, by the way, I wanted to mention this, is now with our new map theme, we have that quote-unquote ruin texture. It's just the texture that gets put down under anything that's like a prop or an object that gets placed. The new ruin texture is this like sort of grassy fallen leaf sort of texture, and it looks great everywhere else, but I think on sand you kind of want there to not be little grass patches underneath every single one of those little umbrella and beach chair objects. So I went in with that surface painter tool and moved them from like everywhere around the island, and I'll probably continue to do that a lot with a lot of these new objects that get put down near the beach over here. But ooh, this is awesome. So this next part you're seeing right now is something that I'm actually really excited about, not only for this project but for future projects. So if you've been following this whole series, you know that I really am not doing a lot of work with natural resources. I don't really actually worry at all about making ore mining or you know, putting any oil plants down. I don't really worry too much about that. Now, maybe if I was doing a different kind of build that wasn't like a tropical island, I'd be more concerned about that. But because I'm not, I just don't use those resources at all. And as a result, that like texture that's put in the game is kind of wasted. So again, I was talking with Captain Soap, or Your Mods on Twitter, and the one who helped me make this custom map theme, and we decided to try and find some cool looking textures for these natural resources that were obviously not at all related to the natural resources. And the idea was you could use them like a paintbrush to put underneath other things. So you're seeing here I'm using the ore texture, which is like this now. It's like a rough rocky texture, and I can put that underneath the surface painter tool, and it really adds to the areas, I think. So now we have this ability to like merge together sand, which is a totally separate texture from the natural resources textures, which is totally separate from the surface painter textures. So you can like layer theoretically like 3 different textures plus these little decals, I guess is the word I would use, objects on top. So you can really layer on the textures, which is awesome. So now we've got those 2 new textures to use, and I used the other texture, the ore texture, or I mean the oil texture, quite a bit, because that's the one that's like this sort of like cracked sandy sort of texture. So that one goes all around the outside of the sand as well, and that one makes like a more clean transition between the sand and the grass. So again, huge thanks to Captain Soap or Your Mods, really helpful, and I really love this new map theme, so really happy with that. But I think I'm gonna be skipping around a bit here and jumping back and forth between working on that cove and working on some of these islands, because I'm trying to get in some of these little bushes and things, and I was just realizing that I kind of neglected putting bushes down around these other areas and these little hills sort of next to the airport over there. So we're going back and forth, but ooh, this is a fun part. So now I decided, like I said earlier, that I wanted to make this like a campsite area. So we've got some little fires put down. We're gonna put down some, well, go through the painstaking process of making little campfires with these weird rocks that are like randomized in size. But I also wanted to throw in a couple different little logs and things, so we're gonna use those, like the fallen logs in that vanilla set for foliage. And then we're also going to be putting down some new custom tent assets that I actually don't know if I've shown them yet on this series. I know that I installed them a while ago, and they're pretty awesome, but I really don't think I showed them off yet, so you might see them for the first time here in a minute once we get the foliage stuff done. But I love doing this, so I love having some little beach grass stuff sort of growing around these logs and the campfires. To me, this makes the whole beach feel a lot less like your typical like commercial beach that's like this big flat sandy beach, and it's got some more like grass and things kind of growing up closer to the water, and I even put some of that wild grass in the water because it's more like a lagoon at this point. So I wanted this whole area to feel a lot more dense with foliage than your average beach does, because again, it's sort of like a cove, and less like it's not exposed to those heavy waves that you would get on like a beach that's right on the edge. So and then going in again and filling in some more of these islands here and there, putting some of these rocks down using, I love this combination of the rocks and then some nice wild grass and then some bushes on top of that, putting some rocks on this little hill over here. And again, this big hill, the whole purpose of this one was just to kind of shape up again this corner of the the airport. So there's still plenty of parts of the airport, especially one of the runways that kind of extends out that is very clearly like a man-made reclaimed land sort of runway, but most of the corners and the other sides I tried to add in these like natural pieces too, so it looks like there was quite a bit of island already there whenever they went in to make this airport. They just kind of had to clear out some stuff here and there. So now we're on to the final piece, and I don't know how much I'm actually going to show of this. I just kind of wrapped it up by putting some foliage down. So let's jump ahead to the live portion. I got some pretty exciting things surrounding that, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so this is the final tip of the island over here. This is what we did during the time lapse. You can see I personally just like this so much more. I feel like the island kind of moving in this direction and having this general shape that we were trying to go with from the beginning, and then also having these little like islands, and it kind of creates this little like cove over here and like a second little kind of lagoon slash cove over here, which I like quite a bit. And also, I'm kind of happy with the way that this little like hidden campsite area turned out. I think it was a cool addition to this side of the island, just off by the airport. I think it'd be really, really cool to be someone going to this university over here and just doing a little walk down this way, you know, underneath this little bridge, and then kind of popping out over here on this side by this little cove. You'd have this sort of like hidden area. You could swim a little bit. There's like the airport like right here, which is kind of cool. And ooh, I just noticed that we're missing a fence here, and I'm not actually sure why that's the case. Let me go ahead and must have been the prop tree anarchy tool turned off whenever I was adjusting something over here, but that's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and put this one down real quick. But I just think this whole area turned out pretty awesome, and I was a little unsure of myself when I was doing this, to be honest. I didn't know if I was going to like how this mountain turned out, but I just really wanted to not have this big cutout here. I just didn't like the way it made the airport look, so I think the airport looks much more natural now, like it's in a well, a spot that's still got plenty of reclaimed land, but it's not entirely abnormal shaped, and it looks pretty natural. So I also tossed in, you might have seen it in a time lapse, but I tossed in quite a few of these little textures in the grass with our new ore and oil textures, which I like quite a bit as well. They look really nice in areas like this, I think, especially, and I used it quite a bit over here where I think it really shines, is when you've got like these mixes of textures over here. It really does make this area look much more dynamic than you know, your standard just like grass everywhere. So we got that going on now, which is fantastic. But the main thing that I want to focus on now that we are done with pretty much shaping this whole corner of the island, I think the next step actually will be to go and do our racetrack over here. But what I want to do right now, and this is something that I've actually had for, man, I want to say I've had this for like 3 episodes now or something, but I have these road signs. It's a American road signs pack. They're just a little ways into our props list over here, but I believe it said that it was made by one of these like famous asset creators who used to make a lot of cool stuff for SimCity. He made that, I think it's called NAM, N-A-M. It's like a mod for SimCity 4, and it's just like all about making realistic interchanges. Well, he made a whole bunch of these awesome exit signs, and there's these little like yellow, what's that thing called? I don't know, I have no idea, but I see these they're on the side of the road, and then you've got these big overhead, these like chevron. I actually used a few of these little like chevrons for the penitentiary. I used them just over here in this little turn, this little road over here. So they look kind of nice, and I want to use some more of these. So let's see. The main places that I want to put them down is over by the airport over here. So let's take a look at this and see if we can get this to look nice. I want to get like matching signs. I would imagine, so you've already kind of got signs here, so I'm not gonna like replace signs with this because I can't really delete these signs here. But I think I'm gonna do something like this, like put an exit only in front of this lane, because again, you're gonna be exiting over onto this side. So if you put a, or you know, I guess that would be here, right? Because this is the exit only lane. So And that's for 23rd Boulevard. I think there's like a few different variations of this. I have this airport sign, but it looks terrible on the top. It's like a pink line there, so I'm just not really using that. I think I also installed a different airport sign that I have yet to find in my asset list, so I'll get around to that later. But I'm not going to worry too much about which road this happens to be telling you you're exiting onto. I'm just going to use them because they look really realistic and nice. So I think I'll use just the boulevard one for this one here. So put that one down like right there, so it's right over top of the exit. That's cool. We could also do, let's see, another exit only. I'm gonna put the 8th Avenue one down over here, so something like that. And then see on this side I'll say the same thing, 8th Avenue, so you could exit off this way like so, which I think is a pretty cool little addition. Little details like this that kind of make everything look nicer. So we got that, and then I also had there's like an exit sign I think that that was available. Let's see, hang on, I wanna. Do we have any of these? I don't think we have anything that would need this. Actually, this does kind of work here. Okay, is that the only one we have? Okay, there's one here that says Industrial Park and Downtown. I think this is the one that makes the most sense for here. So maybe we do something like that. It's kind of like hovering on this side. I might try and use some bushes to kind of hide that little hovering piece there. Perhaps some grass. Actually, let's grab the bigger bushes and just kind of put a few over here. Just kind of cover that up a little bit. So we got that. We'll get some more grass here in a minute, just around here. But I think this is a cool little idea. I like these signs. I think they're really well made, actually. It doesn't surprise me that this guy was really popular in the SimCity 4 community. So okay, this is not the one I want. Alright, so for this exit, I might put this up here actually and say, see, we want, you can only turn left if you go this way. So I'm going to say north suburbs this way. I think that makes sense. You actually can't, oh. You can turn right here, so it would make a lot of sense to put that there. Well, I don't think there's really much then, unless we do, there we go, this is what we want. We want something that's telling you that you can take a right-hand turn up here. So I'll put that right there, so everyone knows you can turn right that way. Okay, that's good. So, but that's probably good for this highway. I don't think there's really anything else I wanted to add. Maybe like these exit signs would be kind of cool. Just exit left and exit right. These are like very simple signs, so you'd probably use these for, well here, maybe I'll put it over here on this side, but you'd probably be using these for smaller towns that you don't really want like an actual, you know, custom sign for their town. You would just have, you know, a standard exit sign to let you know there's an exit coming up for some road going to some town. Bring this back over here again, and then getting into the main area, I think I'd do a few here and there, and I think I'm just gonna place these off camera because it'll probably take a little while, but you guys get the picture. I just wanted to show off these cool exits and other little details that we happen to have here, which are kind of cool. Little, just like a little reflector thing, I think. Looks kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about these. I really like the cones. I think the cones are cool, the traffic cones, but these seem a little bit odd. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna bother with these because they're pretty small, and I didn't use them in the rest of the city, so I wouldn't really want to only use them in certain areas. So anyway, I'll go back. I'll do the rest of this area the same way we just did this little stretch of highway, and get all of our custom signs in, and then we'll be done with this section. So next time I want to start on the racetrack. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think about the idea of a rally track. I'm thinking rally would be the coolest thing. Have some hills and some I don't know. I think it'd be really, really cool, especially because this whole area is kind of secluded. So maybe we could have a little like smaller like gas station kind of town thing sitting like nestled in one of these little inner parts of a mountain somewhere, and then have from there have the track kind of wrap around this way or something. Who knows? We'll figure that out next time. But let me know down below if you have any ideas for that. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.